professor, physician, epidemiologist. I am Dr. Sri Banerjee. Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Sri Banerjee, core faculty for the College of Health Sciences and Public Policy at Walden University. And in this lecture, actually I made this video because I wanted to try to see if the question that a lot of people think is napping a sign of laziness. It's an interesting concept. Many people think that napping might be such a thing, but in fact, what the science and the research shows is that a brief nap can actually be refreshing and restorative. Although the ideal nap lasts from 10 to 20 minutes, this varies from individual to individual. It's also important to understand and distinguish, and I've actually lectured about this in conferences about sleep. I've actually attended a sleep conference last year. But as you're thinking about a brief nap, if it's rapid eye movement, that's more in the morning naps, and anything. So anything in the afternoon is considered more non-REM sleep. So when you wake out of a non-REM sleep state, there's more confusion because it's deeper sort of sleep. The other point that I want to make, and I might make that point later, is that the there's 90-minute cycles. Think about this. Initially, it's more difficult to wake somebody up before you get to rapid eye movement. Now, as the morning arrives, you get more rapid eye movement, where there's more active brain, but then less non-REM. So this is how the sleep cycle takes place within the night. That's a summary of that. Heart rate, breathing rate, body temperature, brain activity actually decreases. So the final stage, rapid eye movement sleep, that's characterized by a spike in brain activity and erratic eye movement. So there's some similarities, but the brain activity increases the most during REM. There's successful napping techniques. I'm not going to go over this too much. It's from the Sleep Foundation. A lot of these recommendations, if you want to explore more about the sleep cycle, you can go to the NIH, and they'll show you some interesting points about the sleep cycle, if we ever get to it. So these seem to be dead links. But let's take a look at a scholarly article. So this is a systematic review. Remember, this is not a meta-analysis. So this was a table that I thought would be important. So this is divided up into 7 terms. Time in bed. So that's between first getting into bed and arising. Sleep time, the total amount of time spent asleep on bed. The sleep efficiency, sleep inertia. There's a post-lunch dip, and this is interesting because it's a phenomenon induced by circadian rhythms characterized by a dip in performance for some variables during mid-afternoon hours. So after lunch, this is a real deal, the dip in performance. There is a replacement nap, which is a daytime nap which counteracts effective sleep deprivation from previous nights. And then a prophylactic nap. You could take a nap to prevent lack of performance or which are induced by circadian rhythms. Um, so there's a lot of good components to this article, and you can take a look at what types of words were used, and conduct your own systematic review. They use Prisma guidelines, which is an important guideline. What are the key takeaway points? Let's just go there. It's a long article, and I actually collaboratively write long articles as well. But when we're looking to summarize, many times these key points make a difference. So a daytime nap, diurnal nap, could enhance the recovery process and counteract sleep deprivation's negative effects before and or following competition and or training. Um, so it's well, notice that they say before. So prophylactic naps is important. Diurnal napping improved short-term memory, attention, reaction time, repeated sprint, jumping, endurance, and specific skills performances, with greater improvement following longer naps for attention, reaction time, and repeated sprint tests. The effect of naps is strongly affected by athletes' objective and subjective rating of sleep quality and duration during the nap and previous nights. And it was affected by exercise type. Now remember, this is a physical therapy sort of thinking about medical staff and coaches. Um, so, a possible suggestion to coaches, sports scientists, and medical staff in technical based sports is to use morning training schedule time for technical practice of various individual skills and to introduce NAPO in mid afternoon. And let's look up very quickly what NAPO stands for. There's the usage of many acronyms here, but NAPO is nap opportunity. So to so a possible suggestion to coaches, sports scientists, and medical staff in technical-based sports is to use morning training for naps in mid-afternoon. This may consolidate learning processes and lead to better mastery of sports skills, but this actually applies and is generalizable to many different disciplines as well. But especially for athletes undergoing chronic lack of sleep. So the 90 minutes might, so 90 minutes is a cycle. There's a sleep cycle within the night, and those cycles actually don't remain 90 minutes throughout the night. As you go more into the night and morning hours, the ratio is in favor of REM sleep, more REM sleep, rather than non-REM. And there's actually 4 stages of sleep as well. So having chronic lack of sleep might be this might be made up through and avoid sleep inertia by optimizing physical and cognitive performance. The duration of at least 1 hour between the naps and the start of exercise is recommended. And that's just to get all of that sleep inertia, all of the grogginess out of your system. If you were more into non-REM sleep, this might have caused some difficulties. This actually goes into this is a table. I had my students complete a flowchart from Prisma, which is interesting and can be applied to any sort of systematic review. I've conducted both types, systematic reviews and systematic review meta-analysis. They're completely different, and it's important to know to you researchers out there what those specific differences are. So let's go back to the original question. Is napping a sign of laziness? And the answer is no. In fact, we found through this paper and through other evidence In fact, it suggests that napping is beneficial not just to cognitive abilities, but the ability to be more physically active. Uh, so before you take a nap next time and you hear somebody call you lazy, just provide them with this paper, and it might help you. Thank you for listening.